rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40 who focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Silverback Blueprint Podcast, episode 21. Today we're going to be interviewing a good buddy of mine and a cool guy, Lewis Kavanagh. Lewis has got a cool little story I want to talk to him about. Obviously, over 40, we're all about what's working, what's not working, how we improve, but also how we deal with issues and some life-altering things and stuff. I've known Lewis. I met him through Rhapsody Strategies. Actually, we're podcasting here today from the world headquarters of Rhapsody Strategies here on the Byward Market and stuff. I put that in so Eric would be all excited and Trevor to use the term world headquarters. They're like, hey, we could be all over the world. But I think you guys are going into the States and doing some cool stuff as well.
We're already there.
There you go. We're already there. So the North American headquarters for now. I want you to tell me a bit about yourself. I know you're a quieter guy, so this is not a natural thing for you, but just be yourself. But I know you love to train. You're into the CrossFit. I got to know more about your training because I train your wife Shelly for the bench press.
Yeah.
She's wicked strong. She's badass, and she's doing phenomenally. But one thing that I want to talk a bit about, because we always want to talk about, it's easy to do the easy things. It's easy to do stuff, when it's easy and there's no challenges. And a few podcasts ago, we talked about embrace the challenges. And I know, was it last year you went through a surgery? Well, can you talk a bit about that? And tell us a bit about yourself first. Don't go right into, there I was on the operating table. Tell us a bit more about Lewis and stuff you're into and the training you like to do over at CrossFit and which CrossFit you're at. And just, let's get to know you.
All right. Well, I played rugby years ago, and that kept me pretty fit, in pretty good shape. And then when I stopped at kind of my early 30s, training was pretty sporadic, and I fell into pretty poor shape and back problems and things like that, purely from inactivity and kind of overuse of injuries.
Repetitive strain type stuff.
Repetitive strain stuff. Yeah. So I got back into rugby at an older age. I thought, that was when I was in the best shape of my life. So
what age was that?
When I got back into it again, late 30s, or 37, 38, I decided just to go back out, just to train, not to play serious at all, just to train and hang out with the guys. And because you love rugby. Oh, yeah.
You're a big fan of the sport and playing it, watching it. And
played it for years.
Now I understand you're making your daughter play it against her will. Is that no? How old is your daughter?
She's 8.
And she's playing
And she's playing the under-8s flag rugby this year. She wanted to do it.
Cool.
And I specifically asked her, I said, are you doing this because you think I want you to do this, or do you want to play?
Right.
But you can tell.
And you were okay with yes to either one of those, though,
absolutely,
right?
yeah. I just wanted to be active.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we had her in soccer for a few years, and it was clear that she wasn't enjoying it.
Okay.
But she does enjoy rugby, and I have a lot of fun with it, too, because now I can coach her and her friends. So
awesome. There's a great picture you posted on her on Facebook where she's got this crazy look of intensity going on, stuff like that. I fucking loved it. I thought it was fantastic. So that's really sharp to see and stuff. So, so you get back into it. You're in your late 30s and stuff.
Yep.
And you use that also as one of the reasons to get back in shape. Right. So what was that like?
You're in your late 30s, so things are a little tight and stiff, and it's a lot easier to get injured, and you don't recover as quickly. But I had a lot of fun. But I just realized that kind of lifestyle where you just kind of let things go was not working.
Right.
Because I was in more pain from
doing nothing
than actually playing rugby and training and going through those aches and pains. So
for sure.
That's how you
had a good why to get back into it. It wasn't just, hey, I have to get in shape because I know I should get in shape. You used rugby as your why, as your reason to get back in shape, right?
Oh, yeah, because I want to play well, and you have to be in shape to play well.
Plus, you played at a certain level before, right?
Yeah.
So the young guy that's still inside of us is like, motherfucker, I want to bring it, right?
Yeah, I can still do this.
I got this, right? Okay, cool.
So that was fun and stuff, but that's how I kind of got into CrossFit, was that it was a similar type of training, right? Okay. It was a lot of activity and variation.
A lot of variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're working on strength, but you're also working on your cardio, which was a big issue for me because we have a history of heart disease in my family. So that was always important, which led to last summer when I was having some difficulty training and it seemed like my cardio was getting worse.
And you're 44 at this time?
I was 44.
So 44, you're training, you're realizing that things are getting tougher to do, not easier.
Yeah.
And you're working out hard. Like it's not because you're slouching. You're just like, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
Okay.
So being, mid 40s, my strength was great. I was still making gains in strength, but seemed like my cardio was stagnating and actually getting worse. And I couldn't figure it out.
So what you were able to do was getting harder to do rather than you weren't trying to all of a sudden run a marathon. You were just trying, hey, normally I go out and I do 10 prowlers and or 5 or whatever, but all of a sudden that was starting to become difficult enough that you actually noticed it and it didn't make sense.
Right. And when they programmed a workout which would have some 400 meter runs or 800 meter runs, those were getting tougher. Right. And it got to the point where I couldn't complete a 400 meter run. And then we had one day was prowlers and a run with a few rounds of that. And I pushed the prowler. It was a 100-foot push, and then you start into your run. And I realized I couldn't get my breath back. Then I realized actually I can't breathe right now. And then I almost passed out. I was down on my hands and knees and just trying to breathe, and had some chest pain and stuff. I'm like, this is not right.
Scared the shit out of you?
Yeah. And I went home and told my wife, and she's like, yeah, we better go to the doctor.
So a typical guy, right, when that happened, he goes home. Doesn't go to the hospital. I'm just going to go home, going to watch some Netflix. I should be okay. I'll talk to my wife about it and stuff, right?
Well,
we're all fucking wired the same as guys and stuff. Did you have an idea, though, what it might be based on the family history? Did you even think about that? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I for sure thought there was something going on, and I didn't want to
scared you even more.
Confront it. Yeah. I'm like, this can't be what I think it is. But my dad had quadruple bypass at 39.
Wow.
And so I'm thinking, man, I hope that's not what it is. But you got to,
So what did it end up being? What was it?
It was a heart valve issue. So I went to the doctor, and he thought at first it might be acid reflux.
Right.
Because he said, you can get that so bad it feels like a heart attack. And I'm like, okay, great, because I've had that before.
Because they're used to guys going in there that are out of shape with shitty health habits and stuff. Right. And 9 times out of 10, it'll be acid reflux, it'll be anxiety, it'll be different things, lifestyle based, rather than a true issue going on, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So he said, I'll write you a prescription, but I'll just take a quick listen to your heart first. And he did, and he said, everything I told you about acid reflux, forget that. He was going to send you to the cardiologist. So went to see the cardiologist, and we had a bit of an argument. I was trying to tell him it was acid reflux, and he's like, no, it's not.
Right.
He says,
because you're hanging on to that better scenario than the possibility of it being a more severe, scary thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So crazy how the human nature is.
Yeah. So they sent me through some tests right away during that appointment and diagnosed it. And he said, look, this is really fixable.
Right.
We can probably do what they call non-invasive procedure, so they don't have to do like the open heart, crack you.
So like with candles and stuff, or what do you mean?
Well, non-invasive means they can go through your ribs instead of open up your chest, right?
Oh, wow. So there's still
so it's a quicker recovery.
Penetrate. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he said Arnold Schwarzenegger had this, and he had the non-invasive so that when he did movies and he takes off his shirt, he doesn't have a big scar down his chest.
So it became cool all of a sudden because fucking Arnold had it, right?
But I was freaking out when I was sitting there, and you're all of a sudden kind of confronting your mortality, and it was a pretty big. It hit me pretty hard in the moment, but then. The way he explained it kind of calmed me down.
For sure.
He went home and talked to my wife, and actually I went to the gym right away after that. I'm like, I got to do something.
Right.
And that's kind of the
back to the prowler.
Stress release, but just went in and had a quick workout. You always feel better after a workout.
For sure.
And that's how I processed it. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So scary thing, right? Because you have a wife, you have a young daughter.
Yeah.
Right. So we start thinking about those things, and not the least of which is the fact that your mortality. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
So scary stuff. Normal that we want to try and either say, oh, it's not that big a deal, or the other thing we tend to do is want to avoid it, right? And realize, hey, I don't want to go there. I don't want to hear what the doctor is going to tell me. I don't want to hear, like anything in life. I don't want to hear what the professional is going to tell me. But so many times when we get to that situation, just dealing with it alleviates so much of the stress. Because fear, right? We fear the unknown, and then our fucking mind takes off, right, with the possibilities. Yeah. And it could have been much worse, but the odds of it, no matter what, it's just getting in front of it. Put you in more control of it. Did you find that just getting that information and getting your head around it more, did that help a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because now you have some clarity, right. And there's a solution for it, and right. and they're like, I've done this procedure 1,000 times.
Right.
I have a 100% track record, and I'm like, right. Well, now you just jinxed yourself. But regardless, it's a pretty common procedure, sure. And it's not what it was 15, 20 years ago.
Well, so. And odds are this is probably all he specializes in,
yeah.
right? Or that's one of the main type of cardiology things he does, right? So again, I think that's the other thing that's changed in a lot of things is that there's so many specialists now. Sometimes the hard part is getting in front of one, but you did. And then knowing that this is what they do, and this, so we see the same thing to a lesser extent of a seriousness in training, right? Our gym, we focus on kettlebells, powerlifting, transformation, that kind of thing, training people over 40. There's nothing more frustrating than when I'm at a powerlifting meet and I'm watching a person who's being coached by their personal trainer in a powerlifting meet who has never competed, has never, their client is the first time they've actually done powerlifting coaching, mm-hmm. right? And I'm like, it's ridiculous because you're just taking someone who's like, oh, I know a little bit about that and watch the YouTube video before you, literally to that extent, and saying, yeah, I'll take care of this for you and stuff like that. Someone comes to see us about Olympic lifting. I know how it works. I've tried it. I'm not going to fucking coach it, right? I want you, if that's really what you want to do, I want you to find that professional and get better results and faster results and safer results, right? So it's the same thing too when we look at something even more important like our health, mm-hmm. our immediate health and stuff, is getting in front of that specialist and getting in. And the worst fucking thing too is let your mind wander about what it could be, what could happen, or talk to your fucking friends who have no idea, and they're going to say a bunch of stupid shit because either they mean well or they're idiots, and it's usually a combination of both. Or you go to the doctor internet and you start looking stuff up yourself, and you start, oh my God, I could have this rare form of whatever, right? Yeah. That kind of thing, right? So we need to get away from all that stuff and confront the issue, but do it in the right manner. So you find all this out, this is what's going on. From that point to operation, how long?
It was a few months.
Okay. So they told you're going to be okay. You just have to watch your activity. What did they tell you had to be careful of?
The doctor said don't do anything that's going to cause these reactions again. Okay. These kind of episodes that I went through. So I was still training a bit. Well, I was still training. I was just not doing anything too cardio based that would get my heart rate too high. So you're focused more on strength, taking longer breaks between sets, watching the intensity. Sure.
Okay.
Until we went back to see the doctor again, and he found out that I was lifting quite heavy still.
Right.
And he said, no, you can't do that.
Didn't want that kind of stress period going on, right? So it was right to yoga then? Like, what did you do?
I just kind of stopped training. And that, I didn't do anything. And that combined with, I still had some tests to go through to see if they thought I may have an enlarged heart, and they thought I may have some blockages.
Right.
And so I had to wait for those tests to go through. So that was quite stressful, actually, just not knowing.
So a big mind fuck because you can't train.
I can't train.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you still got a lot of other shit to figure out before you even get a 100% diagnosis of what the issue is and stuff like that. So that took a couple months between that and then finally finding out what it is and then having the operation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Stressful, the operation, going into it, worried and stuff like that? Like anyone would be? Okay.
But not that bad. By that point, I had gone through the tests and they said, everything's good. We're just going to fix this heart valve and you'll be great. I had found out actually my heart health was excellent and had no blockages or any other issues. So that was all really good news, actually, considering our family history.
Right. Do you think your fitness and your conditioning had a lot to do with that, having a healthier heart because of that as well?
I think so, of course.
It would make sense that it did, right? So that... Good, awesome. So then you go in, you go have the operation, and then so what's life like? You're bedridden after that for 2 years, 2 weeks, 2 days. What was that like?
No, I went in on a Friday morning and I was home by Tuesday.
Okay.
Those first couple of days were a little rough, but I had great care. The nurses were great,
awesome.
And my wife and my daughter showed up to visit, and that's all you want, right?
For sure.
And so you have to be able to complete a flight of stairs before they let you go home.
And they want you up on your feet fairly quickly, right? With all hard things now, right? It's like, the sutures are still dripping, and they kind of want you up, getting mobile and making it work and stuff, right?
Yeah, they put you on a walking program that increases day by day. Okay. So I was up walking around and doing stairs and outside, and I was back in the gym in 3 weeks. I was doing air squats and riding the bike, but
it
was great to be back, at the gym and seeing people again. And,
but even back, once you got active, like on your feet, walking a bit more every day, having those goals and challenges, did that do a lot for your mindset as well? Like, even though it was a lot less than you normally do, but at least I'm up and this is my goal today, I got to walk this far. Did that help mindset as well?
Yeah, because you can see progress as well, right? And I would look back kind of every Monday, reevaluate where I was last Monday. Well, last Monday I could barely get out of bed, and now I'm doing a kilometer, and then the next Monday
you were seeing that big of a difference and stuff.
Mm-hmm, it was quite quickly.
Cool. Now, was that because you were pushing yourself, or was it a combination because just that's the type of recovery to look at of this kind of thing? You're the optimal patient that you're trying to get up and get things active, so this is what they want to see. Was it a combination of all that, or
it was? I think. It was more. They prescribed it, so they said based on my previous activity level, my age, the shape I was in, I should be able to do this.
Okay.
And so it was tough. Like when I thought I had to do 1.5 kilometers and I could barely walk a few days before. But I did it, and you had to do it at a brisk pace as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But
good.
I noticed rapid improvement quite quickly. So yeah.
Cool. So 3 weeks later, you're back in the gym.
Yep.
Right. What kind of precautions did they give you at that point? Just proceed with caution, see how you feel.
Yeah. Nothing.
Right back on the fucking prowler. Like, what was it?
Well, yeah. No. Obviously nothing heavy.
Right.
It was 6 to 8 weeks before they clear that.
All right.
They said you can do light activity.
Right.
And so if I'm out walking,
so light for a lifter usually just means 5 pounds less, right?
Well,
were you smart about it?
Well, yeah, because I couldn't actually. I was getting dizzy doing air squats. Right?
Really?
So that you kind of limit yourself if you're getting dizzy.
Okay. And that's what they want. They kind of want you to push into that a little bit. When you feel that's enough, back off. Is that what they're giving you as a guideline?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
The next week I did it with a bar, just a bar and no weights. Got a little dizzy, but was able to do a few sets.
Okay.
But yeah, by week 6, I was lifting. Not as heavy as I was before.
Right.
I wasn't confident about it.
6 months earlier, you weren't lifting as well as you were. 4 months earlier, you weren't even lifting that well either, right?
Right.
What CrossFit do you go to? Let's talk about that. Sounds like it's a cool place, and they were looking out for you at the same time?
Yeah, I go to CrossFit by Town, owned by a guy named Everett Sloan.
Okay.
And he was great because he said, just come in. He suspended my membership so I wouldn't have to pay while I was, but he said, keep coming in. Because he knows how important that is to just be out of the house and see people and socialize and so he was terrific. About
keep an eye on you when you were in there and stuff like that.
Oh
Good.
yeah,
awesome.
for sure.
I think that's something that's really important for people to understand is that when you look at a specialty gym, and I've heard about that CrossFit, and I just heard that they're good quality coaches and that they care and stuff, which is really cool because that's really what makes all the difference. You can fucking do a burpee anywhere, right? It's when they know you as a client and they want to make sure you're okay. We've had the same thing, people coming back from different injuries or issues and stuff, and we're the same thing. Just get back in here. Let's go light, right? Come every day, come every second day, get out of the house, get back into that routine, right? And when they're in there, we're keeping an eye on them and stuff like that. I mean, it's super important. And I don't bash big gyms. I bash big gyms all the time. But you're not going to get that, right? In the global gyms and stuff, right? That kind of thing. So, there's always there's a reason why a smaller facility that cares more and that has more value for you. And those are one of the areas that you see it when it happens and stuff, right? For sure. Because at the end of the day, as coaches, we want to see our clients just do well, right? And be fitter and be stronger and have successes and stuff, right? So I think it was a year ago today almost, right?
Yeah, it was diagnosed. Yeah,
it was diagnosed. So a year ago today it was diagnosed. What's training like today in the gym? Where are you at?
It's tons better.
Okay.
I mean, I'm back. My strength is pretty much back where it was before. Like my PRs as far as the basic lifts, and my cardio has been slow to improve, but it has improved. I mean, I couldn't do 200-meter run this time last year, and now I can do a couple kilometers or 3 kilometers unbroken, very slowly, but it's a big improvement over what it was before. So
And are you sort of sitting there with here's some goals, I want to do this by this and that kind of thing? So do you sit there and try to get that done first in your workout after warm up, hit the cardio part and then go back? Or do you have different days where you do strength versus cardio? How are you breaking that down?
I go by the programming that they have it.
Okay. So the WOD of the day.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
But I make sure now, like I'm not, some of those conditioning workouts, if I miss that one, I wasn't too concerned.
Right.
Or I never miss a bench day or a squat day.
No one misses bench day.
Right. But now I hit those conditioning days.
Okay. So you scale it, like say, okay, they want me to do this, this, and this, but based on what I can do, I'm going to do this version. I'll modify it or see how many rounds I can get in. Is that how you're dealing with that?
When I first came back, yeah. But now I'm doing pretty much what everyone else is able to do. I mean, from my age and my ability level.
Right, for sure.
But I'm keeping up as best I can. And I'm happy with how it's going. Yeah, cool. For sure.
So how do you, having gone through this crazy thing, right, which would sideline so many people, they would never fucking train again. They would pick up golf or yoga. Nothing wrong with yoga. Yoga's important, guys. No, it's not. But at the end of the day, you didn't let that shit stop you. Now, is this because you love lifting so much? I kind of already know the answer. Or is it just because you just wanted to challenge yourself or just keep that going and stuff like that? Like, what stopped you from being like the majority of people that would just Netflix from that point on? What do you think that made the difference for you? Why is Lewis not fucking putting up with that?
When I had the diagnosis and found out that actually my heart health was good and I'm in excellent shape except for this heart valve, which was basically a plumbing issue.
That's right. That's right.
Then I was really encouraged, and I was encouraged that I had worked my way back into pretty good shape and felt great. So I just wanted to keep that, and I think with some great support from the people I work with and work for, from my wife and my extended family. And you confront those things. I have a little girl who was 7 at the time, and I want to grow up and watch her grow up. That was all motivating for me. Motivating factors.
Big whys, right? That kind of.
And when you're kind of knocked down and you can't do things you want to do, then I'm motivated to get myself back, build my strength back, so I can do the things I want to do again. So.
And not to mention too, because Shelly is a competitive powerlifter, you don't want to fucking fall too far behind, right? That kind of thing. She's incredibly strong and doing really well and stuff. How old is Shelly again?
She's 46.
Yeah, so 46, and she's hitting numbers she's never hit before. We were talking briefly about that earlier and stuff like that, and no sign of slowing down, neither one of you. So, what do we got to do to get Lewis to compete now? What do we got to do to take that next level and stuff?
I have thought about it. It was not something I thought seriously of before.
Right, because you want at least one trophy on that mantle, right? Can't all be Shelly's and your daughters from rugby, right?
Well, I played a lot of rugby, and I always kind of justified. I had my competing days.
Okay.
And now I am having fun. Watch my daughter, watch my wife
for sure
compete.
Yeah.
But a little bit of me wants to, partly so I can help my wife, right?
For sure.
To kind of go through a training cycle and see what that competition is like.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I can support her better, and just to kind of a bucket list thing. Yeah, I did this.
For me, whenever I see someone who enjoys lifting, and you enjoy lifting, I see it. Yeah. I always want you guys to compete. And it's not, the biggest reason is because when you decide to compete, your training just goes to the next level, right? You end up doing stuff even to a higher level, more intense, more focused, because there's a date, there's a line in the sand. And to me, even if you just do it once, right? Bucket list, like you said, but when you come out on the other side of that, you realize just how important and how much of a difference it made in your training, knowing that you were putting it on the line somewhere. And that's one thing I think is probably the most important tool or lesson to come out of any type of competition, is that it just makes you better. Makes you better at what you're doing and stuff, right? And I want everyone to have that for what they're doing. So I don't care if it's darts, I don't care if it's bowling. It's just, I want you to have that challenge and see what it's like you were saying earlier, under those conditions, and walk a mile in the shoes of your wife that's competing. Now, you've played sports at a high level, you understand that, you've done it, but it's good to remind ourselves, because sometimes when we get to that point, we haven't, I competed for years, and I stopped for a lot of years. And then my bench wasn't the same, and, I was working it. And then one day I said, it's because I haven't fucking competed. So I just signed up, and boom, every Tuesday, I rebuilt the bench and stuff to a point where I'm benching better now than ever. But it was because my voice just cracked again. I just went through puberty. It's because I signed up, and I put it on the line, and I love it. And at the end of the day, all the gym stuff I do all came out of the fact I had a shitty bench when I was 20 years old starting, and it just pissed me off, and I wanted a better bench. And now competing just keeps pushing me further and further and further. And it's me against me. It's never anything beyond that overall. It's great to hit. I tell people, if you keep hitting enough PRs, you're going to start hitting some meet PRs, and you're going to start winning some stuff, right? But it's all about your own PRs. That's, to me, the most important thing. And, the first, most important meet is your first one, because those set those numbers, right? Yeah. And then we get to see what the gym numbers are versus the meet numbers. And there's usually a discrepancy when we start. And then our goal is with training to close that gap. So, we focus on better technique and better form in the gym, so that there's not a huge difference between our best bench day in the gym and our best bench day on the platform.
Right.
So technically it makes us better. Squat or deadlift, I hear some people do those as well. But to me, I think that's the biggest value, is just when you compete in something, it just brings your game up to the next level. And I'd say a lot of guys and girls that once they compete the first time, especially if they've been lifting for a while, they usually come back and say, you know what, I wish I would have done it sooner. Knowing what I know now, they're like, fuck, I wish I would have done that a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah. There's some crazy strong-ass guys and girls out there that just never compete. And if they truly don't give a shit, then I think that's okay. But I think for a lot of them, they want to compete, but they never feel they're strong enough. They never feel their numbers are good enough, right? And I tell them, I say, your numbers never will be good enough. That's just the way it works. But they're not going to improve dramatically until you start competing and stuff, right? So that's my plug, to try to get you to compete and stuff. So along the way, when you were going through this, and your friends and family who are supportive, was there a lot of, hey, now listen, you're not going to go back training now, are you? Are you going to stop that? Were you getting any of that kind of stuff from your circles around you that were worried about this and that kind of stuff?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think the only concern was I would try to do too much too quickly. Okay. And that's a legitimate concern. And yeah, the first couple of months back training there was a lot of aches and pains and pulls and strains. Yeah. But
those are good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But nothing that I'm putting myself in danger or anything like that. And I think at this point, people realize that the training is good. You're not gonna go out there and hurt yourself, or injure yourself to the point that it's not good for you anymore. So I didn't have any pushback from that, really.
Awesome. That's good. I mean, and that's the one thing that we talk to a lot of people when they're looking to make changes, because you were active and this is always who you are and what you do and stuff, your circle's used to you doing that. What we see often is when someone's looking to do something radically different, get in shape for the first time, get stronger, get fitter. If they haven't done it in a long time, the circle who they hang out with, odds are, haven't done it either. And they're the ones I hear a lot, almost holding them back, right? That kind of stuff. Now, it could be something as simple as a spouse not liking the fact that you're gone 4 times a week for an hour and a half, to your friends like, fuck, what are you doing? Let's just have a beer instead, because they don't like the fact you're doing something and makes them feel shitty about what the fact they're not doing. There's so many different reasons, but I find a lot of guys, when they go to make those changes, they have to change some of their circles, because that's not who they were with that circle, right? Yep. So it's cool that you're at a point where this is who you are and you want to maintain that and keep that going. You don't have that thing dragging you down where your buddies are like, don't do it and stuff, right? So that's a huge advantage, but that's a real concern that a lot of guys coming in or looking to get in shape for the first time in a long time, is that they're not hanging out with other guys that train. They're not hanging out with other guys that eat better. They're hanging out with guys that are, hey, let's fucking meet at the Oak for the 3rd time this week and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So that's a very big difference in your circle of influence and what you're doing. So aside from the training and the comeback, hell of a comeback, fantastic, right? That kind of thing. You're in a place where you feel really good. Based on that life-altering situation and that big, dealing with that mortality, what else has changed for you headspace-wise, how you look at certain things now, knowing that you just came through something big like that? Is there anything that you sit there and say, you know what, I want to look at this a little bit differently in my life?
Yeah, I think, about 4 or 5 weeks after my surgery, I had a coaching session with Trevor here. Yeah. We have coaching.
At Rhapsody here. Yeah.
Right, yeah, sorry. And as we were talking, he kind of brought up the point, like he said, you're quite thankful for how things have worked out. And I'm like, I am actually. I was thankful for the care I got, thankful for the support I had. And so he suggested we'd go through the Impact Accelerator that we offer here at Rhapsody in the new year, right? Which I had done the previous year, but the difference this time was part of the Accelerator is you have to sit down and write out some good things about yourself.
Right.
List 5 things.
Yeah. That stumps a lot of people.
It does, because there's 20 lines and it says fill up this page, and most people get up to about 3 to 5 lines.
I shower daily. That's a big one.
Yeah. And because we're also, everyone's tough on themselves. They can't we can think of a ton of things we're crappy at.
That's right.
Or
we think we are.
Yeah. But this time when I did it, I just filled out the sheet, and it was just the dumbest things too. Like, I make my daughter laugh at will. I can make her laugh, and things like that. And I use a self-deprecating sense of humor to put people at ease.
Yeah.
And I considered all those things as something I'm good at and something I think that is a positive for me.
Right.
But to get there, I gave myself permission to do it. I said, for me to fully recover, for me to be a good husband, for me to be a good employee and serve the people I work with and our clients, this is good. This helps me serve them when I can give myself permission to do that.
Awesome.
And that's kind of where my headspace was at. I was just so happy to be alive that, these rose-colored glasses, everything was good. But I think I've carried that forward, and I'm a lot less tough on myself now.
Right.
And, like you had talked about in one of your earlier podcasts, the imposter syndrome was something I really struggled with when I first started here at this job. And, slowly but surely, I'm coming around on it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's about, I think, giving yourself permission to have some nice thoughts about yourself.
It's funny, and I'm going to do a little podcast on this as well. It's about when people run into a situation, or hitting their bottom, or hitting a bottom, or hitting something that truly forces them to look at themselves and where they are, face their mortality, face who they are, question who they are. Mm-hmm. There's incredible value in that. It's almost like a gift. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you don't have those things happen, you never get a chance to truly A, be tested. B, you never get a chance to see what it's like around you under those circumstances. But you don't have a strong point of reference for other things until something like that happens, right? Yeah. So we can sit there and say, oh man, that fucking sucks. Why me? Well, we can turn around and fight to get through it, come out on the other side and going, you know what? Getting cut off in traffic is nothing compared to what I just went through.
Yeah.
Right? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, coming home and maybe being a little short-tempered with your kids because the room's a little messy is nothing compared to the fact that you thought for a while you may never see them again. Right? The room's still got to get fucking clean, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same thing. It just changes your perspective overall, and it's super powerful. For me, the whole point of what we're doing with this podcast is exactly what's just gone on with you. You're in your mid-40s. You've got a lot going on. You have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things that matter. But at the same token, you rose to the occasion and got through it, right? And to me, that's a huge, learning lesson for everyone, because we all have friends that are in our circle, similar stage of life, and they let the littlest thing shut them down, right? That kind of thing. And for me, it's crazy. It really is. Now, sometimes when we're dealing with stuff, we feel like it's the worst because it's happening to us right now, right? But it really is mindset. And sometimes even just turning around going, you know what? I fucking heard about Lewis, and he went through this, and this, and stuff like that. And I go, you know what? So what? I had a rough day at work. It's nothing compared to what it could be. Right. So I think that's a great learning tool for some people, is that they may not have hit that bottom yet, but they could learn about someone else's bottom. Yeah. Right. And have some perspective and look at that overall. So that's why when I knew we were coming into Rhapsody today, I was hoping to get you cornered and, tell you that we were doing a podcast today and stuff. So I really appreciate it. What's a tip that you would give out to anyone that's struggling with something? What would you say? What's the first thing you say? Sitting with a buddy, he's going through a hard time in anything. What would be the first thing you would tell him as a tool or a step to begin dealing with it? What would Lewis tell his buddy?
I think, if I hadn't confronted this head on, if I had tried to ignore it or willfully...
Not tell anyone and fucking walk it off.
Or willfully, just kind of like willful ignorance, I'm not going to go to the doctor, I'm not going to deal with it. And a friend of mine, her father died prematurely simply because he wouldn't go to the doctor, right? And found out he died of a heart condition that was easily fixable. Right. But because he didn't, now... her daughter doesn't have a grandfather. Wow. Right? Man. So that's that stubbornness and willful ignorance to not. Yeah. So sometimes you just have to You have to
Just
confront
stand
it.
up and so your advice would just confront it.
You have to. Yeah, you can't deal with it if you don't.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Lewis, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. We'll definitely see you around the gym. I'm going to get you on the platform one way or the other. And guys, that's all I got for today. I want to thank you guys for listening. Head on over to iTunes and subscribe if you haven't already. If you can and would and love to leave us a 5-star review, that would be fantastic. Any questions, leave me an email at kurthaas@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you guys later.